See, the thing is that I don't trust women like Julia Beck anymore at all. We have given these ladies the benefit of the doubt to self-identify, and self-identification has always been a lot of sus shit going on. How do we know that we should take somebody at their word when they self-identify? And it's like, I would propose that there is a decent litmus test to figure out if a woman who calls herself or describes herself as a feminist is being honest in describing herself that way and is really a feminist, which is to say, if you are a woman and you would work with the Heritage Foundation and you would work with Focus on the Family, then you're not a feminist at all, regardless of whether you call yourself one or not. I hate to be, I hate to say this because I'm a guy, so obviously, my input is not necessarily sought. But you know what? No, if I ran across one of these people in the real world and they tried to tell me that they too are a feminist, they too are fighting for women's rights, like I have, in doing things like donating to Jan's due process, I just wouldn't fucking believe them. I would not be able to take them at their word because I would find the word fundamentally sus at the completely. The moment a woman goes to the place where she's basically willing to sell her soul out to work with Heritage, you know, and Focus on the Family, which are both organizations that would push the lesbians back into the closet, would and they describe themselves as lesbians. They're lesbian activists. That, and you're just like, I'm just sitting here looking at what they're saying, and it's like, very amusing. But the groups that you're working with would ban birth control, ban like they would ban birth control, they would ban abortion, they would push, they would ban reverse all the gains that have been made for lesbians and gay people, axe gay marriage from the and reverse the Oberfell ruling. They would I mean, forget taking you back to 1950. They'd go back like to like the 1700s or something, or way further back. When women didn't even have the right to vote, and you'd be living in like the modern equivalent of The Handmaid's Tale all over. And I'm just like sitting here, like Heritage Foundation and Focus on the Family are just the mortal enemies of any real, like any woman out there, and all women. And Julia Beck and the quote unquote turf, which is the trans exclusionary quote radical feminist unquote, and I'm like sitting there like, well, they're going to identify as radical feminist, but I don't really have any obligation to take them seriously because I think their feminism is, I think that they are neither particularly radical nor feminist in any meaningful way, because they would set aside these differences and are so freaking hateful that it was fair and accurate when they were responded to in a commentary that was not directed to be in a conversation with them, but to just snipe at them from the side, which is in the article, which is essentially I can't, I don't understand how you can hate so much that you go out of your way to sell your soul to politicians and extremist organizations who have fought women's rights and women's welfare every step of the way. So basically, as a decent litmus test to tell how a feminist is actually a feminist, is she so filled with hatred that she would go out of her way to sell her soul to politicians and extremist organizations who have fought women's rights and women's welfare every step of the way just to take down trans women? You know, if the answer to that question is yes, then this person is not at all a feminist, and they are lying at absolute best. And this is necessarily the case when they self-identify as a feminist, and we can't trust them, and we shouldn't take them at their word. This is how you know a person who calls themselves a rad fem is not a radical feminist.